If you want to scale your business in the online space, you have to get known. You have to start the conversation and continue the conversation, because social media or content creation, content marketing, it's a long game. It is not something that happens overnight.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a fun one. Our guest is a consultant and strategist who helps accounting and bookkeeping and tax business owners use social media and digital marketing strategies to expand and grow their businesses from offline to online. Veronica Sagastume, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. I can't wait to share some of these tips, hacks, and best practices with your listeners.
I am as well. And I mean, if there was ever a time to talk about something like online, people are going to be like, enough with the online already. But this has been a big opportunity for the last 20 years. It's still a massive opportunity. It's like, the gold rush is still the beginning days of the gold rush of being able to be online and find people online and market your business online and connect with people online and work online. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Veronica, I'm excited about getting into some of this with you and sharing this with our listeners. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about you and your career journey leading up to this point.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that. So I went the traditional route, like many people, go to school, go to college, get your degree, and start climbing that corporate ladder that everybody encourages you when you're in your university days. And I did that. I live in Northern California, so I always stayed right between San Francisco Bay Area and the Silicon Valley. And that's where my career really started after college. And I would say heading towards that startup phase, aggressive growth type of companies, I felt like that, I had that entrepreneurial gene already. And so working for startup companies really fulfilled that area for me. And I climbed the corporate ladder very quickly, especially being in the Silicon Valley and the San Francisco Bay Area. Worked with a lot of software and tech companies, especially in those boom days, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and, just learned a lot. It was such an accelerated growth period, not only learning how to hire people, grow a company, but how to be also like pivot quickly. We would have this saying in the Silicon Valley, which is still going on. It's like fail fast and fail often, because what that meant to us, and it still serves me to this day, is get something out there, get the feedback so we can tweak, revise, and put it out there again. Don't wait until it's perfect. And
Beautiful.
Right? If we wait till it's perfect, we never get anything done. And so that led me to have that kind of career where I had initial public offerings, mergers and acquisitions, and achieve those high levels, the C-level executive positions that ultimately come with the corner office. I literally had the corner office in a San Francisco financial services company, and it was I was really centralized between the Union Square, Chinatown, and Financial District. So it depended which way you went when you went out the door.
Wow.
And I would say with that corner office that we all, in our college days and as we're climbing that corporate ladder, we all want that corner office. With that comes a lot of perks, a lot of, really great things of like being a decision maker, really making an impact in the business. And while I loved my corporate career and my team and my position, that kind of position comes with a lot of responsibility and demand. And in my case, it came with very little time for a personal life, which ultimately, became an issue, especially at a time when I was faced with a life decision when my grandmother she broke her ankle and she needed a lot of physical therapy and physical care. And it was one of those fork in the road kind of decisions for me of thinking, I was torn. I was constantly, like many people are, whether it's you're starting a family or a life event happens with a loved one or an elderly parent. I found myself feeling guilty when I was at work. I wasn't with her. When I was with my grandmother, I wasn't at work. And neither of those, I wasn't at home. I was stretched out too thin and not showing up as the best version of myself anywhere. And so I made the decision to leave my corporate job and start a consulting business. My first business was the CFO consulting business that allowed me to have the flexibility to be present with my grandmother and work around with my clients. So it wasn't like I left one for the other. Between deciding to leave my corporate job and actually leaving to start my business, it was about 6 months. And in that time, I was preparing to leave and doing my networking and thinking about who I was going to serve and how this business was going to work. But the consulting side of the business, it really allowed me to be with my grandmother and allowed me the flexibility to make my own hours while building the business that started. But with any consulting business, right, Michael, we hit a cap. There's only so many hours that we can serve so many clients. And even though I started that business at the end of 2010, 5 years in, around 2015, I realized that I was completely tapped out. I had already hired so many other contractors. And that's when I started thinking about, okay, I'm going to continue to build this agency, but I can't, it was too much. Instead of having one job, I had created this mini jobs with all my clients. All my consulting clients acted like a job, like they were my boss. And that's when I started to think about expanding to the online space. And when I first came onto the online space, I had to learn a whole new terminology, way of doing things, applications. But I hired a coach. I hired someone who could accelerate my learning curve. And over time, I've niched down even further. And while I still have my CFO consulting practice that, works more of like an agency, we don't advertise, we don't promote. That's all word of mouth through our networking channels. The business that I started to grow was the one that I focus on now, which is working with accounting, bookkeeping, and tax businesses and helping them to expand beyond that one-to-one or beyond the in-person, offline business model that we are so traditionally known for, and instead expand to the online space where you can have a greater reach and a deeper impact because you're not limited by your geography or where you live. So that brings us to today.
Wow. Very exciting. And it sounds like you've got a really interesting background, which makes you very valuable to accountants, bookkeepers, and tax business owners, because you have both the corporate, you have the small, medium-sized business experience, you have the acumen of growing your own business, you have the acumen of the financial conversation. So that's exciting. And then as well, you have the acumen of social media and marketing, that marketing acumen, but more so digital marketing acumen. All of that combined makes you a very valuable person to our community, I'm thinking. And so tell me, when you started helping accountants, bookkeepers, and tax business owners, how did that start? What was it? What'd you find? Like what was the business like, and then how did you help them transform that, and what was the outcome that you helped them create?
They actually found me, and I'll share what I mean by that. In the beginning, when I came onto the online space, I thought, I can do business coaching to entrepreneurs, just basically everybody. And that's the mistake that a lot of us make early on. But, I really did think I could help so many entrepreneurs to start their business and in how to go about that. And so I started to create a lot of a presence for myself in the online space through different social media channels. And what happened is, in the beginning, I had a lot of network associates that I had made in my corporate career, in the accounting, in the financial side of business operations. And so they started to see me show up online. whether it was through written form, audio clips, podcast interviews, video, whatever. They just started to take notice that I was promoting my knowledge, my experience, and they would contact me through either email, text, direct messages, and they would say, "What are you doing these days?" It started with sometimes not understanding what I was doing or what my business was all about. And then it turned into, "How are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you getting clients out of this?" There was so much curiosity around that then I started to kind of have like these 20-minute, I still have those, but 20-minute conversations it's almost like not a pick my brain, but almost like learn about what it is that I help with, or what is the upside of having this online presence. And so in a way, what I started out with of like being a business coach to entrepreneurs, it has gone through a few different iterations because of the audience that would follow me and the questions that they had. I saw a need, and I saw like whether it was a struggle that they were having that I could help with. And so that's what in the very beginning, it was more of like their curiosity led me to realize that there was a gap. There still is a gap or a lack of understanding of what social media can actually do for their business. Because honestly, I was one of those people. I didn't even have a Facebook account until the end of 2015 because shame on me, I did not see the opportunity that how I could use social media to my advantage in order to grow my business by having people learn about me and how I can serve them, how I can help them, how I can solve a problem that they may be having.
So interesting, and I'd love to hear, why is this valuable?
Well, I think if it comes down to a decision that every business owner makes. If you want to expand your business in the online space, you have to create content. And part of the content that you create needs to be published in social media. Now, there's the social media aspect, and then there's the channels that you own. Like you own your blog posts, you own your podcast, and to a certain extent, you own your videos on YouTube. But the social media aspect of it, that's your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Facebook channels, the more popular ones. There's a whole bunch of other ones, but it becomes valuable to you if you want to scale your business in the online space. You have to get known. You have to start the conversation and continue the conversation, because social media or content creation, content marketing, it's a long game. It is not something that happens overnight, because we don't have, in the online space, we don't have that network where you can go to an event, especially in the year of 2020. We can't go to a networking event where we can shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, feel their energy. It's just sort of like that back and forth. You have to show up differently, and you have to have a consistency to how you show up and where you show up so that people can get to know you. You have to build up that know, like, and trust factor so that when you make the invitation to work with you, or you make an offer to buy my thing, enroll for my program, join my membership, before you make that invitation, you have to have established a track record, a reputation, a relationship of sorts. And you do that in the online space through your content. And the content that you create and that you share is part of your digital marketing strategy. That's where we go from content to clients. There's a strategy behind it. You don't just like throw it out there and start publishing for the sake of publishing because somebody told you to start creating and sharing content. There is a strategy behind it. And that's part of what I help my clients with as well.
So say that it's content to clients, which is
content to clients. Mm-hmm.
Content to clients. I love that. So simple and so clear messaging there. So content to clients. Now, I want to get in a little bit of that, because I think what most people are doing is the content, right? Mm-hmm. With hope that it's like, let's dump the content out there and then let's hope the clients show up. Mm-hmm. And there is a strategy, as you've mentioned, but you talked about, you didn't even understand the opportunity. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about the opportunity. It's like you make the content, people get to know you, you become known, you have authority, you have relationship, people feel like they know you. I mean, we're creating content right now that our listeners are listening to us, are getting to know us, and it's valuable, hopefully, right? So valuable to our listener. And they go, "Oh, Michael, that's great. Thank you." It's like, hey, we're known, right? Now, for bookkeepers, accountants, and tax business owners, what have you seen as a result of you working with them and them embracing the long game? Because this is a long game. This is not wake up one day and dump all this out there and, cash falls from the sky. This is a long game, investment, learning, all sorts of stuff. But
Right.
I love to hear some of the, what's in it for them conversation.
Part of it is to understand what is it that they're going to gain out of this? Like, what is the end result? The end result is getting more clients. At the end of the day, anything that we do in terms of marketing is to either sell our service or sell our program or our product. And so for them to see that in the long game, for people to see how they solve problems, they become more confident in how they sell themselves. Many of our associates in the accounting, bookkeeping, and tax professions, we're not salesmen. And we kind of think, I don't like sales. There's this whole stigma around sales. And so for me, what's so exciting is when I see them understand that the marketing is what we seed, it's kind of like preceding that how should I put, the benefits of working with us, the benefits of how we get them through a challenging time or the problems that we solve. If we share the right type of content, then when it comes to actually sell, it becomes easy because the people that we have been showing up for, the people that we have been creating content for and that have been starting to follow us and becoming our fans, they will now invest in us. People in the online space, they don't, most of us, we invest in the person behind the business, especially when it comes to being a service provider. And so for me to see that they understand that, listen, if I create the right kind of content for the audience that I want to attract or the type of client that I want more of, when it comes to making the offer or the invitation, it's so much easier. It no longer becomes this stigma of, I hate sales. I'm not good at sales. I don't like to sell. It almost becomes like, that was so easy. I can't believe how many people showed up to the webinar, or I can't believe how many people opened that email or that invitation. Because the disbelief comes in the proof, right? You debunk that disbelief because you start to see how more people will start to engage with your content if you have a strategy behind it. Having the strategy just means, what's the end goal? I always like to start with my clients asking, what is it that you're going to try to get them to sign up for or buy in the end? And then we create content to lead the traffic towards that end goal. It's just like when you get in your car and you have a navigation system, you have an idea. Well, you know where you're going. You know what your destination is. Maybe it's the grocery store or your mom's house, but you plug that in, a new address, and you take that route. But there's always more ways to get there, more than one way to get there. But if you don't know what the destination is, you're not going to know what route to take. And so the same thing goes for the marketing strategy. It's like, if we know what we want to offer, 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, then we create the kind of content that's going to precede that promotion or that sales topic. And by doing so, they start to realize that there's a framework. There is a repeatable system. It's like a blueprint, a framework, a map, whatever you want to call it. It's like the aha moment comes in like, hey, here's the recipe that you're going to follow. Here's what you're going to create. Here's how many pieces you're going to design and publish and schedule. And then at the end, at this point is when you're going to make the offer. And the proof is in the pudding, kind of. I say that. But it's like the conversions that start to happen. How many people opened the email, or how many people signed up for the webinar or the masterclass? How many clients then converted from those people that opened the email or signed up for the masterclass? And that's been so exciting to see, because once they see, oh my God, it works. I can't believe it worked. There's always that disbelief. I can't believe it worked. And now they realize I have a system that I can repeat, improve upon, make it better, tweak it. And then that's where the confidence comes in. It's amazing.
I love it. And, I think the selling, you mentioned the selling, the content really does the selling, a big piece of the selling for them. And
Exactly.
So when people have read some of your content or consumed some of their content, they speak to you, they're speaking to you as if they already know you, because
Exactly.
they know a piece of you. And so the conversation shifts. You're at a level of trust. And so it can really amplify and accelerate the relationship because of that content. Now, you mentioned more clients, and I hear that all the time, and we talk about it all the time, get more clients. But I know that our listener, many of them already have lots of clients, and they think, oh, I don't want more clients. And I really want to point out that strategies like this, getting more clients, doesn't mean you have to take on all those new clients or potential prospective clients. But what I've seen happen to many other very successful bookkeeping business owners is that when they have a lot of demand for them, it does a lot of shifts to a business owner's mindset and ability to charge more, offer additional services, and be very selective with the type of clients that they take on. And I would say most people, many business owners out there build their business with any client. And that's where a lot of the problems come from, right? If you have
absolutely
bad clients, guess what your business is? It's a bad business. So this kind of strategy increases demand, increases interest, increases conversations, and you can sort of go, okay, well, look, we have high demand, therefore low, set supply, going to be a natural price increase, and you get to be selective of your clients. So strategy like this, long-term investment, very rewarding in the long run. And so I love what you're saying. Tell us a little bit about who is this a fit for to take on a strategy like this? If someone just starts out in a business, they've just hung up their shingle, they've done their training, they have some experience, years of experience, and they have no clients, but they're just starting. Is this an area that you would recommend that they focus on, or
Absolutely.
is this? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. Maybe three things. Like if we thought of it, like there's people I know listening that haven't started and are just starting. I know there's people that are kind of like getting, more and more clients, but, and then there's the people who have lots of clients and in a pretty big business. So it's like, I would imagine the strategy might be a little different for each.
Mm-hmm. So I love this question because it gives me an opportunity to share a lot of little tips for the different, whatever stage you're at. So let's talk about the beginning one first. In the beginning, you're making so many decisions, right? You're talking about what service am I going to offer? Is it going to be package, hourly? What system am I going to use? So many decisions go behind when you're starting your bookkeeping service. And beyond that, you're going to need clients. So you start with your network. You start with who you know and, basically who is in your network, in your contacts list. I actually have a resource on my website that it's literally is called Nurture Your Network, because your first or next client is in your network. So there is a way to do a type of marketing campaign that is directly geared towards your network, the people that you have worked with before, people that you have worked on projects or met at a conference. So there's this whole path of like, whether it's an email, a text, a direct message, where you can reach out. Don't start selling right away, but it's basically a reconnecting of sorts with your network, especially if it's been a while since you've been in touch, and to let them know what you're up to and how to offer your services. And so for the very beginner, I would say look within your network already and see who it is that would be a good fit for you to have as a client, for you to make an offer to. And even in those early days, for a starter package or a starting bookkeeping service, I often will recommend to get that first or second client so that you can work out the kinks, how you're delivering your service, blah, blah, I was going to say blah, 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 but how do you deliver your service? But
I say blah, blah, blah all the time.
Okay, we speak the blah, blah, blah.
We speak blah, blah, blah. I love blah, blah, blah.
Got it. Everybody will fill in their blank. And so for those types of folks, I would say don't get overwhelmed with all the things that you have to do in social media. Part of content creation is, even if you're writing a direct message, if you're writing an email, if you are populating a template, which the free resource that I'm referring to comes with 6 email templates that can be easily adopted to a direct message, like in LinkedIn, on Facebook, or a text message. Basically, you just want a direct outreach method. And that is part of your content marketing, believe it or not. Content marketing, so often people think it's just the social media aspect, but it's not. Content marketing could be a direct email outreach or a direct messaging through LinkedIn or Instagram. So for the beginner, that's what I would recommend. Now, for the one that has already started their business and has a few clients, has now started to realize, okay, I need to either niche on with the kind of client that I want to get, or I want to get more clients because I'm not fully booked. That's when I say pick one platform. Ask people, survey, where are your ideal clients at? And so for a bookkeeping service, perhaps they want to, I'm just, picking from my mind, saying, okay, maybe they just want to be bookkeepers for the reselling community. Those resellers that sell merchandise on Facebook, on Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, Poshmark, eBay. And that's a very specialized niche, right? That's what niche is specializing in an area. So now you're going to show up. Where are they at? Are those types of clients on LinkedIn or are they on Instagram? I don't know. You have to ask around. Ask, anywhere from 5 to 7 people. And then you have to show up in that platform where they are at. And you start to create pieces of content that speak to them. It's like, my top favorite, apps for scanning receipts for the reseller. For the Poshmark, seller, you start creating and calling out the specific people that you want to service and create tips, best practices, share an article with your point of view, your insight as to what it is that they may find valuable. And that business owner that's maybe that's a reseller will start to see you as an authority, as the go-to for your industry as a bookkeeper. Now they're looking to you as someone who can help them to solve a problem that they may have. Maybe they don't have it right now, but they start to grow and now they need a bookkeeper. They're going to go to you because you've been top of mind, showing up in that platform, consistently speaking about topics that are directly related to the industry of the client that they want to attract. How does that sound, Michael?
Sounds great. And my mind is exploding with possibility.
It's exciting.
You're right. It's exciting. And it's like, this conversation, we don't have enough where there's just so much opportunity out there and many people can't see it because they don't understand or know or whatever. Just like you're like, I don't Facebook, whatever, right?
So anti.
And then, and now that potential is now, but just simply, you said the example of, resellers. It's like, where are they hanging out? Like you could be a bookkeeper, accountant, tax business owner. You go in and to one of these groups and just be helpful.
Yeah.
Hey, I've done that. That's a problem. Yeah, sure. That's how, people are constantly asking me, Michael, how can I find a great bookkeeper? I'm looking for a bookkeeper. It's like, because they know me, they hear me, they so they're coming to me, but I'm telling you, because I'm known.
Exactly.
If our listener becomes known in these little groups, it's extremely powerful.
You become so much more easy. I'm going to butcher this, but let me stay with me, people. You become easier to refer business to. Because you're like, if you're a reseller and you're looking for a bookkeeper and you're asking around, hey, do you know of a bookkeeper? You're like, oh my gosh, I got just the person for you. He or she actually specializes in just bookkeeping services for resellers. Do you see how much easier you become when you actually specialize in an industry or an area? I actually have a CPA colleague who specializes in just being a certified public accountant for vets and dentists. That's her niche and nothing else. And you know what? She becomes so easy to refer, especially when there's a dentist convention or a vets network event and they're talking and now all of a sudden they're asking for a referral. That's her. That's her niche. She comes top of mind and it's so much easier to refer you when you specialize in an area or a industry or community. I want to also finish because I gave you the 2 tips for the one who's just starting, the one who's already started. I'd like to cover the tip for the one who already has a lot of clients. I just worked with somebody a couple of weeks ago who was fully booked, but she was fully booked with a lot of those early stage clients, like you were saying, the ones that got the special promo discount fee, or the one, when she was just like thinking, I just need to get fully booked with clients. And she has clients in all kinds of different industries who all have different requirements and deadlines and no boundaries. And so this was a great opportunity for her to increase her prices as well as reframe her packages. And as a result, start to think about how she was going to show up and the kind of client that she was going to want to attract. And so it was almost like she did two things. One, she gave a 60-day notice to her existing clients about her her fee increase, but also the revision of her model, getting away from the hourly and more into a retainer package. And then the other one was to create content that was going to be geared towards, she actually does bookkeeping for general contractors, but now she is really specializing in general contractors who do commercial building only. So it's not the handyman. It's not all these other services that she was getting. It is basically gearing towards the commercial building developers and contractors, because sometimes they go hand in hand. So that in itself, again, she's niching. She is keeping she knows that through this price increase and the announcement of the package as opposed to hourly will also, some of her existing clients will no longer want to be her client. And so she's not going to burn any bridges, but as a result, she is referring them to someone else. She's already has her two different other bookkeepers that she can refer them to if they choose not to go on with her. But in the meantime, she's establishing her business and her content to position herself as an industry leader in this new niche that she really loves and wants to focus on.
I love that story. And, it just brings to life the power of, throwing out the net wide, getting demand, increasing demand for your services, and then, being courageous around designing the business, because often we all start that way. We start and, make a bunch of mistakes, and then we got to clean that up. She's cleaning it up, new pricing model, increased rates, and she's able to do that because she did the work. She got marketing, got demand. And so just absolutely love that. Veronica, what an awesome conversation. So much opportunity out there. There are not enough bookkeepers. There are not enough accountants, and there are not enough business owners, tax consultants out there that can meet the demand today and the ever-increasing demand that is there in small, medium-sized businesses that desperately need great advice, great consulting, great guidance around empowering them around their finances. And so thank you for helping our community and people like the people in our community get found, get known, so that they can get into these businesses and help them be more successful. And so thank you on behalf of all of our listeners. Thank you for coming and giving us your generosity. Now, before I let you go, please, where's the best place for our listener, if they heard something today that they would like to go and find out more about you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, thank you, Michael. It's been my pleasure. I love talking about this topic because with my background in accounting, I know the struggle. I know this challenge. So I'm happy to help our community. And so the best place to find me is my website is veronicasagastume.com. And on the homepage or the resources, I have a ton of free resources. The most recent one that I just delivered about 10 days ago is 75 content topic ideas for accounting, bookkeeping, and tax business owners. And this is not just like a one pager with 75 things on it. I literally went through 8 categories, and under each category give you a bunch of like industry specific questions, things that you can use as a prompt to help you create very specific, content, whether it's for your email list, for your blog, a YouTube video, a podcast, or just a social media post or, little fun Instagram story. So I hope you guys will grab it because it's absolutely free, and it comes with a 31-day content calendar template that it just inspires you and triggers you to take action. So go to my website and feel free to grab whatever resource that you think will be helpful to you and come by and say hello. I answer every single contact that gets sent my way. Amazing.
Your website's amazing. I mean, listener, go look at Veronica's website. I mean, this is a textbook case of how it should be done. 75 content ideas. I mean, it's holiday time. Gift giving is here. Hell, wow. 75. I mean, I'm excited. Veronica, you're great. Love the conversation. The link to your website will be in our show notes. I'm sure it is not the last time we'll be having a conversation with you. And I look forward to seeing you be successful in your business. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure.
And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.